Yeah, Coach. We talked to Trey Knox last night, and he was telling us that it was his idea to move to tight end earlier in the season. What's that say about him? Whenever this day and age, you got guys entering the portal at the first sign of adversity, that he'd be open to a position change like that.
Well, it makes it easier, obviously, to do it. And then I think the player, I'm not saying that a player can't reach his full potential if we move him, because he certainly can. But I think because he wanted to do it, it was a much smoother transition, and then he made it work. I think he's going to be a really good tight end. I think he's played well Saturday, but I think he's at 225 right now, and we're working the offseason to get him better so he can be a little more physical. But it says a lot about him, and we certainly didn't want him to transfer. And it says a lot about him. I think he's about all 100% in on tight end.
You say he's up to 225 now. Is there like a target weight that you'd like him to hit this coming off season?
240 would be the low end of that to me. If he could get to 250, I think that'd be outstanding. But 240, I'd like to see him get to 240 on the low end of that.
Bob.
Hey, Sam, how you doing?
Hey, Bob.
Hey, KJ, I don't know if you knew this, but when Arkansas played down in Baton Rouge 2 years ago, that was his first start as a true freshman. He kind of got thrown into the fire. What do you think about that? Could that help him for this game, the fact he's already started there once?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, he was probably, they were the number one team in the country, I think, and all those things. And he hadn't played much ball. Certainly hope I don't know how he played that day, but I certainly hope he plays better than that. I think he's probably had a few more reps since then, but I don't think so, Bob. It might. You'd probably have to ask him that question. I'm not positive.
Yeah, well, I asked him that last night. I want to get your take. And then I know you didn't see him. I mean, I don't know, maybe you did watch some film of him as a freshman, but how much better do you think he is now probably than he would have been in that start 2 years ago?
As much as we've talked about him starting, even last year versus Missouri and how he played in that, if you go back and you look at that, because we certainly have looked at Missouri already on the off week. We had to get ready for a Sunday night practice coming back from Alabama. So we did do that in the off week. And just looking at the way he played a year ago to how he's playing now is quite different. So I would assume that it was even more so as 2 years ago that he's improved that much more since then. So, yeah, I mean, I know he's improved a lot since last year in his start against Missouri.
He played pretty well at Mizzou, but where do you think he's really made a big move since then?
I think his confidence and how he sees the field. He's throwing the ball better than what he did before, but his reads they seem natural for him, and not. It's like a guy that pretty sure he knows the offense, not for sure he knows the offense, and he's maybe a second behind. I feel like he's just playing faster and certainly smarter, and all this experience that he's getting has certainly helped him. Example of throwing that ball away in 2 minutes the other night. That was probably as important as all the passes he threw.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
You talked about how the team looked more energized last Saturday coming off the open date. I'm wondering what you've seen out of them in practice this week, and you think you can sustain that, for 3 weekends in a row now?
Well, I think so. I think we're setting at maybe 17 days, 3 games, coming up. 18 or 17, I'm not positive, but you have 3 games tossed into those days. Yesterday, again, we had talked earlier about noise, and yesterday we probably had too much noise. Monday was an outstanding practice. Yesterday, I didn't think it was quite as good as what a normal Tuesday would be. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to play the noise half of the reps and start without it so we can get a little more enthusiasm, a little more coaching done. And hopefully today will be a wonderful day because of it. I think our legs are there and all those things. We are going to go shells today, half the practice, and take them off and go spiders the remainder of the practice.
You said the other day, if people keep bringing everybody, we're going to keep finding Traylon. And, you know, obviously a reference to people blitzing you and coming at you. I'm wondering generally how you guys have held up against the blitz, who's come after you the most, and how the O-line and KJ have handled blitzing.
Man, who's came after us the most? Well, I don't know the answer. Who's blitzed us the most times? But we've been ready for it. You know, we got hit the other night. You know, I told Cody on the counter pass that we got sacked on, and they had a better call than us. You know, it was a sack, and I don't know. There's really not a way for us to pick that particular blitz up. They had a good call on. I don't know if it was on a tendency or not, or they just had a good call. But you know, we're not getting blitzed quite as much this year as what we did last year. Even I think part of it is KJ's mobility, and we're playing a little faster ball. So, but I wish I knew that answer of who has blitzed us the most, but I don't know that right off the top of my head.
Traylon, there's a pic of Traylon on that Devion Warren pass where he might have actually come down with that. I mean, have you seen that? And do you know if it got reviewed?
I was told that it was reviewed because I was thinking about calling the timeout, and I said, "Hey, I'm thinking here about calling the timeout," and he said, "Oh no, we've got the review on it, and you won't have to, you know, use that." And he came back and said it was out. So.
Hey. Yeah, Sam, with Trey Williams, just how much did that bye week help him, and kind of what are you looking for him down the stretch?
Well, I mean, he's our best pass rusher, and I think he was healthy last week, and he's healthy today, and he's just got to find a way to get to the quarterback, which I'm very confident in him. Obviously, he's going to draw probably the best player they have as well each week. It's at least the best tackle they have. You'd probably put him over on the left side. As far as pass protection, you might put your best run blocker on the right side. But I think he's had a good year. You know, probably best game was A&M, you know, and then but he's healthy, and so I expect him to have a good game.
Thank you.
Right. Coach, I know Max Johnson's left hand. I'm not sure what Nussmeier is, but does that
right?
Do you look at moving Trey Williams around? I know you put him back at linebacker and stuff like that, and stood him up and stuff. But with a left-handed quarterback, is that something you guys consider?
Well, certainly you would consider that. That may be a part of the plan. Sometimes when you move kids, is it beneficial to him as well? You know, is he comfortable coming off the edge on the other side as well? Some guys are very natural at it. Some guys aren't because of their strength hands inside and things of that nature. Long arm, things of that nature, a move that may become not quite as instinctive as what it would be on the other side. So we certainly have thought about those things, and we've looked at some of those things. I don't know that we'll do it or not, but we certainly have looked at it.
I don't know if we've asked you about Chase Lowry, Jalen St. John, Zach Zymus. I don't think we've seen them out there.
Yeah, well, St. John has got a wrist problem, not necessarily. We just got to find out what's wrong with it. So, you know, he had a fever, and you know, I wanted him to play over there at Little Rock, and he just wasn't able to, fever wise, and we've got to figure out exactly what's wrong with him. We've got some tests going on. I don't want to make it like it's life-threatening or anything like that. I don't mean that. But we've got to find out what's wrong with him, how we can fix that wrist, and we're doing that today. And Zach Zymos had an ACL surgery, so he's out for the year, or is getting ready. So yeah, and he's out for the year. And then
Chase Lowry.
Chase, we were going to travel him the last time we traveled. I guess it was Little Rock, and he got injured during that week. Not bad, but he did get injured, and so I think he'll be back ready to go. But there won't be any. He's not threatening to win a job or get on the field yet at this moment, but he has been a little banged up, Trey.
Thanks, Coach.
Let me know if you got more questions. Hutch?
Yeah, Coach, we've asked you about Greg Brooks and Simeon Blair before. I'm curious how Traylon Smith has responded since getting his carries kind of decreased this past week.
I think he's done well. I mean, he was in a great mood yesterday at practice, and those things I don't know, probably most of us have had that situation happen to us if we played, any type of sport, and it's hard. I mean, it's a difficult situation to handle, especially when you started for a year or whatever, combination of a year. And, but he's handled it very well. He knows that he's going to get some carries and things. He knows he's valuable. So to answer your question, I think he's handled it like a pro would.
Scotty?
Hey, Coach Dudley wanted me to ask you just about recruiting, how important it is to be in the in-state high schools, visiting with coaches and just being seen by the kids.
Well, anytime you can get out, first of all, the coaches in the state have been so kind and so inviting to come into their school. And we haven't had, quite the opportunities to do that like we will here in a few weeks. But it's very important. It's very important to get around, especially right now when we're doing better and want to be seen. Sometimes you don't want to be seen, but these are one of the times where you want to get into a school and show that brand, because the Hogs pretty strong right now, especially in the state of Arkansas.
Now, last thing for me, I remember hearing on the broadcast last weekend that Kendall, I think, told the broadcast crew that Trey Knox potentially has a future at tight end beyond Arkansas. I mean, can you see that happening? And, what's the next step that, he needs to take?
I mean, I think that's certainly his best opportunity to play in the NFL. I mean, he goes from an average wide receiver speed to a fast tight end. And if he can keep that at 240, 245 pounds, whatever it may be, he has great hands. I'm talking about in the blocking. Anytime you're thin or you're not heavy, in order to have success, the same way with a tackle or whatever, you have to be good with your hands. And so he's really good with his hands. And so once he gains that weight, I think he's going to have a lot more power. I think he can be a NFL type tight end. Yeah, I agree with Kendall.
Wrap us up, Tom.
After the success LSU had going after Bryce Young with some blitzes last week, do you anticipate them kind of sticking with that? And how was your O-line handle those two?
I anticipate that they'll use some of the things that they did against Alabama, but any great coach, which Coach Orgeron is, they'll do something a little bit same look and different results. In other words, they may give us the same look and not pull the linebacker that you slide to out, or whatever the situation may be. They'll give us the same look pre-snap and do something different. I mean, all great coaches do that, and we're ready for obviously what they did last week, and we'll see what their adjustments are and try to adjust off that. The guy who's handled blitz as well is KJ. You know, we've seen more total blitz, all out blitz over the last 3 games than you know you could get in an entire season. And KJ and specifically Traylon have hurt that. You know, you have nobody in the middle of the field. So if you win your one-on-one battle and your quarterback can get it to you, usually it turns into 6 points, that's what's been happening.
How do you and Ed get along? He's come after a couple of your coaches, but it seemed like y'all are very complimentary and respectful of each other.
Well, it's part of the business, you know. If you hire good coaches, guys are going to come in and try to steal them from you, and if you know if they like the program or like the situation, or you can keep the money. Make no mistake, money's a big deal in decision making. You know, Kirby said at one point, it's never about the money, it's all about the money, you know, and it's true. I mean, LSU had a lot of money and they came after Brad and you know, he took the job, but he, you know, it's just, I'm going to go try to get somebody's coach when I need one open as well. And it's just part of the business. It's not Ed that went to LSU. Brad went to LSU, you know, and that was what his decision was. He was from there. I understood it. It just wasn't very good timing.
Gotcha. Hey, and you've won the Golden Boot Trophy down there in 15 in LSU. How much playing for that trophy with your guys?
We've had to show the team what the trophy looks like because we've never seen it. So, we'd like to have it. I'm sure LSU'd like to keep it, but we'd like to have it too.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.